Hey, what's up, guys? Teej here, Dan. It's time for another edition of the Tuesday Twofer, and we weren't really sure what we were going to be talking about tonight. But then I got here. I had my birthday dinner with my dad, and did some other stuff, and then got here, and we have a surprise.
His birthday's on Christmas.
My birthday's Christmas Day, so it's not only on top of family Christmas stuff, we have Teej's birthday stuff too.
Yeah.
But Dan, what you got for me?
Well, luckily, as it happens, the kind people over at the Game Crafter, who are always awesome, were very quick in getting us our prototype copy of Staves. So we're gonna get to show you some about Staves tonight. Now we're still kind of going over like last minute tweaking and stuff, making sure getting all the numbers just right. We want to make sure it all works out perfectly. So there's still a bit more playtesting and stuff to go. But we've done a lot of playtesting so far. So, but we'll get to show off some of the awesome art. Aaron Verzat, I hope I'm saying that right, Aaron. He did some amazing art for the Staves. And then we've got some wonderful art for the Wizards from Tithi Luatong. And yeah, I'm looking forward to showing you a bit about the next upcoming game from DKG. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So I'm looking at it so far, and I've kind of watched this in the process of when Aaron was getting us the artwork. So it was coming in piecemeal. So we weren't getting it. It wasn't a batch thing. So watching the progression.
Good art takes time to create.
Yeah, good art.
Pay attention to detail.
So we actually have. I actually watched as each staff was being completed and seeing it and going from the very early prototype that Dan, Robbie, and I played on to what it is now. This is gonna be a lot of fun to have in addition to your Tavern Masters, because kind of a little bit of an inside thing. Some of the talks that Dan and I have actually had when he's been kind of revealing some of the mechanics for it is you were actually talking about certain type of card here that are like your customers for the staves that you're building.
Yeah, clients.
Your clients. Some of them may or may not be able to be used as patrons.
We're gonna
Tavern Masters.
We're gonna be bringing some of the. Well, this is all part of the same world, part of the same lore. So, as a matter of fact, you might recognize the victory point counters because it's Eldarian gold.
These guys.
So. Yeah, of course, the token version, but the metal coins for those of you that have the upgrade and be able to use those just in place too.
Available now in our shop.
It's true. As a matter of fact, speaking of Staves, I'd love to show you off some of the art that was developed that Aaron did. This is going to be for the cover art. We're still working on layout and stuff like that, but I used it for the temporary back for the client cards right now, but that is just sweet looking. I'm hoping you can catch some of the detail. I'm trying not to get too much glare, but I'm just so excited. And so in Staves, each player is a stave maker, working to create magical enchanted staffs and whatnot for the magical community and other various people in the world. So I mean, for instance, dwarven miners and stuff, they could use a staff of stone power to help get through things. Anyway, the point being, each player is busy making staves, and you start with the 6 feet in play because there's 6 different types of staffs. There's life, or there's 6 different elements basically. There's life, stone, fire, air, ice, and death. And so let me move the camera real quick so you can get like a little bit of a view of the cards. Kind of hard to know which way I'm angling this thing, but let's see.
There you go.
Hopefully you can get a little bit of a view of those. So you start with those 6 feet in play, and find our mark again. There we go. And we're still getting the place set up, so we're still working on cell phone right now. So basically, you start with these 6 different element feet in play, and they've got like a little triangular symbol in the corner, in the upper corner, to show you that they are feet of staves. Like here's the foot of the life staff. It's cool, like growing out of like a plant bulb and stuff. And so, on your turn, you're going to have each player's going to have a hand of a couple of stave cards. Now, most of them are going to be midsections. Like, let's see, give me a midsection piece. Here is an ice midsection. Now, right now, we just have one of each midsection, but we have 3 different pieces being done for each midsection, so there's some more variety. It'll match and all that kind of stuff. But and the midsection has this little rectangle in the corner. So, and that tells you that that's going to be some kind of middle part. And then, well, here's the ice staff, for a matter of fact, the crown, which is the head of the staff. And you see it has like a little circle in the corner. And it also has the title on a nice banner to let you know that, it is the ice staff. So, basically, whatever elements go into the staff, once you complete it, you cap it off with a crown. That's what kind of staff it counts as in the end, as far as like it being an overall ice staff.
I think my favorite, this is one of my favorites. This is the fire staff, just because one of my first forays into fantasy was, like a lot of people, was Tolkien's work, and that just gives me a lot of like Mordor vibes and stuff like that. So I think some of the art is phenomenal.
And I don't usually fire staff. I usually just make them quit.
But the other cool one that I'm really into is the life staff.
Oh yeah, they're all just gorgeous. It's hard to pick a favorite.
It's absolutely gorgeous. So it's really cool. And to be honest, the mechanics are
easy to learn,
fairly simple, but there is a lot of
strategy,
ability to either work together to complete a staff, or try to hurt somebody else and keep them from scoring and accruing gold and stuff like that. Now, Dan, do we have any? Are there going to be any? I think we had talked about like some kind of an event card or some kind of card that can negatively affect one player or everybody.
No, there's no negative stuff in there right now.
Okay.
But I mean, who knows? There's always room for expansions and stuff.
Like that.
So basically, let's say you want to play. It's your turn, and you want to play an ice staff section, right? So if all the feet are out and it's just feet, you always have to play the matching element to a foot. So if you got an ice staff foot, you've got to play an ice staff section on it, right? Now, once you've played that, let's just assume the foot's just on there. So let's say you're wanting to play off of this staff now, and the foot's on there and everything. You can either play another ice piece. If the second card that goes down is another of the same element as the first and the foot, then that is a 1-element staff. So that means that any further cards played to it have to be ice staff, and it has to be capped with an ice crown, obviously. And then however many sections it is, whenever a player caps it off, because you can play on any of the staffs, like all the players are playing on all the staffs together. And so whenever you cap off a staff, you get points for however many sections are in there. Cool. However, there's also clients, which we'll get into in a minute, and that's going to give you some final scoring at the end of the game too. Now, let's say you've got your ice staff, and you've already got the foot on there, and it's someone else's turn. They can either play ice here and make it a 1-element staff, or they can play any other element. So let's say air, right? So you got ice and air now. Now, that means the next player that wants to play on this staff either can play ice or any other element other than air, but it can't be air. And that's because if ice gets played on top of the air, then it's officially a 2-element staff, and so that means there's a pattern. It's ice, air. So if I play air on this, and then he plays ice, the next card that goes on it has to be air, whether it be the crown or whether it be another midsection. And then,
and realistically, you could come back with, say, like a piece of the death staff, and then you'd have a 3-element staff.
Right, and if you play another element other than air, because you couldn't play air.
Life on top of that.
But you play another one, then it becomes a 3-element staff, which means that if you had ice, air, and then life, as you say, then the next one would be ice, and then the next one would have to be air, and the next one would have to be life, and so forth and so on, whether you're playing another midsection or crowning it.
Yeah.
Again, you get points once you finish any staff, and once six staffs have been completed, the game ends. Now, I say once 6 and not these 6 because there's one more foot of each type of staff in the deck. So you could always, on your turn, start another staff, which, could be strategically advantageous. depending on what you're going for. Now, speaking of what you're going for, that's where the clients come into play. At the end of the game, you reveal who your client was. Like at the beginning of the game, each player is dealt out like 3 clients, and then they can choose which one they want to, work with. These give you bonus gold. So, like for instance, here's the Stone Caller, and so this little symbol here means that for each stone staff, each one that's finished as a stone staff, you get 4 extra gold, right? So, or you have the Elementalist, for instance. This symbol means number of elements. So for each 1 element staff, each single element staff, you get 3 gold. Cool. Or you might have something like this, like the Halfling Ranger. The Halfling Ranger, he has this little section symbol, like the midsection of the staff. It's got 3. That means for each 3-section staff, meaning each staff that has 3 middle sections plus a foot and a crown, you get 3 gold at the end of the game. So this is a way to kind of have some hidden extra points at the end, and people won't know to try and play against or for them. You're all just trying to build the staffs that you have in front of you, or in the play. So that's kind of almost like a hidden role kind of thing, but it just boils down to some extra points that you're strategically trying to make happen. And then that, of course, the rest is on you to make that happen and to bluff well and convince your other friends to help finish the tasks that you're trying to do.
So my ADD took hold there while you were talking about the different things, because I've heard all of it before. I was thinking about, we have an ice and air staff. Mm-hmm. What type of mancer would that be? Would it be like a moisture mancer, or?
Well, air and ice, I mean, that's probably going to be like any number of kind of things, I suppose, but like, maybe like like rhyme, like rhyme in each frost rhyme, or I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of room in the world for playing around. I mean, like obviously stuff like like if you were to have like fire and stone, it might be like lava mancer or something. I mean,
shoot lava out of your staff. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, the client that wants 2 elements is called the Nemesis Witch. Because in the world of Destiny, Nemesis Witches are all about using 2 elements, often opposing, but often just trying to use both elements together to, like bring force balance to create what they want.
You're the Grey Jedi.
Kinda, yeah, so to speak. I mean, they they'll use fire to do one thing and then come back with ice to,
like 1-2 punch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. So, we've tried to, add a little bit of lore in here too. Staves is basically, honestly, it started, it's a game that people play in the taverns in the world of Destiny. Of course, it wouldn't look this fancy. It would just look like, some cute little, like, etchings.
It'd be scribbles on some notepads.
Well, I mean, they have magic, so, I mean, they do have, some kind of technology, if you will, in magicness. But,
well, I mean,
but nevertheless,
we've gone off on some deep intellectual discussions about some of the things that they are capable of. Like eventually, when we get our little media area set up, we're gonna start Destiny Vision, which is a magically transmitted broadcast that people could be sitting in the living room with their hovel, and they just have like a little frame, and all of a sudden, poop! It's news time.
Yeah,
what's
like,
going on in the world of Destiny?
Yeah, the mages and whatnot and other people, because magic's very common in the world of Destiny. But so it's like everybody has like some magic items around because they just make things easier. But yeah, they have kind of like like not quite a TV, but like things that they can watch, like on a crystal or whatever. It's being transmitted magically, just like they also have like kind of like radio stations, if you will, through similar kind of magic.
Yeah.
Because communication is key, and the more communication you have across the world, the better things can be. Communication is tantamount to, it's part of, building bridges between peoples and groups and everything. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
new cards are hard to shuffle.
Yeah, just a bit. And of course, these are kind of extra dark too. They'll be a little bit easier to see and whatnot, especially when not on a cell phone camera.
Yeah.
But we're very excited about Staves. We're planning on possibly launching it as early as mid-January.
Yeah.
So we'll keep you posted on that. We're very excited about getting it all done.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to we're gonna do some videos of playthroughs soon, so y'all can see it in action, and we'll post those here too.
Now that brings up a really good question. Now, do you guys? You can leave it in comments. You can send us a message. We'll talk about it in the Gamer Guild. But would you guys be more interested in seeing like some playthroughs of Tavern Masters to see how we, who are the best in the world at it, play Tavern Masters? Sorry. Mixed
Frequently
with,
lose.
or would you guys like to see some of the games that we've already mentioned, like Staves and Lord of the Night, and I mean, we can always bring out Game Lords too, man.
Oh yeah,
well,
we're absolutely going to be posting a lot more stuff on here soon. We're going to be playing a lot of our prototypes, showing them off. We're going to be playing a lot of our prototype expansion, showing them off too, so you know what's coming, so you can see all the stuff as it's developing and growing. It's something I've wanted to do for a long while now, but just until now haven't had the internet and capabilities and stuff to pull it off like I really wanted. But we're going to, because we're going to.
Now, and then the question is, are you guys more, would you be more interested in seeing more of Tavern Masters content, or would you be interested in seeing more of our prototype content, or just kind of a mixture thereof? Because, I mean, we could come in and we could set up and we could play a game of Tavern Masters every week while we're talking about a new game. Or we could come in and actually play the new game and have all of our attention dedicated to talking about that new game. It would be fun for me either way. I just see what more people would prefer right off the bat.
Variety is the spice of life, and as we know, the spice extends life.
So hopefully next week I can get it set up where we can actually do a playthrough of Tavern Masters with the Fairies expansion, and we need to get I need to get my deck or my set so we can have the Dirty Deeds out of it. So because I prefer playing with Dirty Deeds because
I just need to find another set. I just need to grab another set of Dirty Deeds to put in the
right on.
Yeah, no worries.
Right on. Okay.
It's been in my planet every kind of million.
Yeah. So so next week, hopefully, I'm hoping to be able to sit down and do a long play of some Tavern Masters with the Fairies expansion, since a lot of people have been asking about that one, when that's going to go live and everything like that.
Be fun to show it off.
So we're gonna keep putting that one out there. And my experience with the early prototype of Staves is that it's a quick moving game, so we may play like a game of Tavern Masters where we're exhausted at the end and we're like, let's play something fast, and then we just throw out some Staves and show you guys how that works. So that's where I'm at. I mean, Dan, is there anything else you want to touch on?
Well, I would simply say that I hope you guys have a wonderful and awesome and safe holiday out there. It's a crazy time right now, but remember, like, for all the stuff that's going on, for all the division, like, we have family and we have friends and we all love each other, and the world is a better place when we can all find common ground and find, happiness together. Mm-hmm. And Christmas is all about coming together, like putting aside differences, putting aside arguments and everything else, and just trying to do our best to be our best selves. It gives us our chance to be the people we want to be, and so I encourage everybody, this Christmas, like, whoever you're going to be around, staying as safe as possible, like, take some time, sit around the table, play some games, share some time, even do adult coloring books, whatever makes you happy. Don't forget the cocoa or the spice cider, maybe the coffee too for us coffee lovers, but it's a rough and difficult time, but we will all get through it, and we get through things better together. Also, I wish I had some more stuff from the Yuletide expansion to show off too. Tavern Masters, we have the Yuletide expansion coming up. It's just, still in the works. We want to get some more good art done for it and whatnot. And,
how many expansions for Tavern Masters do you have planned?
Well,
that are already kind of like laid out. I know you have
the ones that are already fleshed out and basically pretty much ready to prototype. There's the Yuletide expansion. There's the pint-size expansion, which has dwarves and halflings and goblins. All the short varieties. And it adds in a lot of cool dwarven stuff too, just like the Fairies expansion adds in some cool elven stuff. So There's the Full Moon expansion that adds in the monsters, where the monsters are like coming in. It kind of has that, gothic horror feel to it, or horror fantasy feel to it, gothic fantasy. You got monsters coming into your tavern and stuff, but if you have the right things in there, they can drive them off, and fun things like blood wine.
Yeah.
And there's calf brains is something you can serve on the menu, because like it keeps the certain undead from attacking you, and it counts as mutton. Because it's not calf brain, sheep. I think
sheep brain. Sheep brain.
Anyway,
but yeah, I mean, like the
and then so that was the Full Moon expansion. There's the Mer expansion, the Merfolk expansion. That actually adds in. They don't go in the patron deck; they go in the port deck.
Oh, cool.
So you're drawing them out of the port deck. And the thing with the Merfolk expansion is it also comes with these silver doubloons that are technically worth 2 gold.
Yeah.
And so if you can, if you have what a Mer is looking for and whatnot, you can get one of their gold. Awesome. Because the other thing is, not only does it count as 2 gold, but there's special rules of what happens if a player gets 10 doubloons, which is the equivalent of 20 gold.
Yeah.
So, there's some cool fun stuff there. Let's see. There's the Innkeeper Mega Expansion, which you've played that before.
Oh my god, it's awesome! It's awesome. It's
you
so
can
cool.
Build onto your tavern and stuff. Add rooms, an herb garden, a kitchen, a wine cellar.
There's a market.
The advanced expansion, so to speak, the Innkeeper and the Village both have market stuff. The market adds in basically the ability to buy tokens. So, for instance, how many times have you sat there and just needed an ale, and been drawn for rounds and needed an ale? Well, in the market expansion, you could just buy an ale token for 2 gold, and now boom, you have basic ale. I guess it's like basic cable. I don't know. And
the watered down ale.
And also, for instance, the Innkeeper, if you recall, the market allows you to hire some of your NPCs in your tavern as staff. Well, that's fun.
Oh yeah, that was very helpful.
And there's some other stuff that's fun too. And then so the Innkeeper expansion adds on to the market as well, the market stuff as well. So does the Village expansion. Now in Innkeeper, you also have quests because you're getting King's favor and stuff like that.
The heroes and the travelers.
Well, you have the traveler deck. You have heroes and adventurers. Adventurers, like you can play heroes and adventurers no matter they don't have wants. You can just play them, but they always go away, and unless you have something that specifically keeps them. But they have desires. So adventurers have 2 desires. Maybe they desire ale and wenches, for instance. And so that means if you have any ale, you get 1 gold. If you have any wenches, you get 1 gold.
So and
you get 2 gold.
2 gold.
And then heroes have 3, but you can't play heroes until you have at least 1 King's favor, which you get from completing the quest. But also when you complete a quest, you get to draw from the treasure deck too. That's right, treasure. So lots of fun there. Then the Village expansion adds in more of a city defense. It kind of adds more to the multiplayer experience of working together cooperatively. Although, from our current plans, there's still even ways to, do that, head to head too, and just go rogue. And, but, let's say, maybe you're in the situation where, the warlord, Grimbeard is like attacking, and so you've got to keep getting more soldiers and stuff to fend things off, or there's a number of different situations and stuff, and so it kind of becomes a city defense as well as Tavern Masters. And then trying to think, I know there's 1 or 2 more little like smaller ones. Just they're kind of on the script. Oh, and then eventually it's not very well worked out yet. Most of the other ones are pretty much ready to prototype, other than art, and so we're going to prototype and play them soon. Well, the Village not as much. The Village is still
a ways out because
we want to do that one really. I mean, like we've worked a long time on Innkeeper and a lot of these other ones too.
I mean,
there's also the Casino expansion eventually. The Casino expansion adds in a lot more games and stuff, and adds in some betting mechanics where you can bet on Tavern Masters and stuff like that. So
and some of the other things that Dan has been talking about is there are a lot of games that you can play in Tavern Masters. And he's actually thought some of these games out, like Cannons. Cannons is going to be cool.
Cannons, Daggers is another one. 3 Gems for Xeranoth is another one. Staves is technically one of them, but I wanted it to look cool and fantasy-ish. We might eventually put out, like, if it becomes a popular game, we might put out, like, a cool version that how it would look, in world, where it's all a bunch of just etchings and stuff, But, there's just so many, like, different games worked out. Oh, and just, in the trying to think of there's a few other tavern games, too, that are, like, games they play in taverns in the world.
Top.
Huh?
Top?
No. That was actually a favor to us from Patrick Rothfuss and James Ernst from Cheap Ass Games.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did tell me about that. That's awesome.
They let us put that in there because we had a lot of friends and fans that just love Name of the Wind series, and they just really wanted to be able to have a tack board in their tavern. So they let us make the card, as a nice promo for the Kickstarter, and that was really sweet of them. So, and as far as I recall, if I'm not mistaken, I think World Builders is still doing their drive right now, where they're trying to help raise money for good causes. So go check them out. They're always doing wonderful stuff around the world to help people that need it, like way more than others. Yeah. So anyway, we'll have lots more cool stuff to show y'all soon. We're still in the middle of this crazy move. This thing has taken 6 months, and now I think we're actually going to be, hopefully, if we're lucky, moving tomorrow or the next day. So that'll be fun. Yeah. Moving on Christmas Eve. But luckily we got most of the stuff, just all the heavy furniture and things.
Yeah.
So
at
any rate, it's going to be a busy couple of days. But, after that, things will get
full
back
steam
to
ahead.
normal. Yeah, we're going to get the office set up. And then eventually, once I get this place cleaned up, I'll give you all a cool tour of it. It's just great. I'm just super excited.
It's rad.
But we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up too, so that'll be awesome. Also, can't wait to eventually get to show y'all a playthrough of Lord of the Night, Feast of Blood, our nice big worker placement vampire game.
Yeah, that's like I've said before. That's what convinced me to sink in and start playing.
I've been working on that for like 8-9 years. It's gone through so many things, but it's
I haven't
done
really
now.
helped with the mechanics at all. I mean, I may have suggested a couple of things, but what I've really enjoyed is developing some of the lore behind the characters that exist in the game. I mean, you have the Dark One, you have Belladonna Nyx, there's I don't remember his name, and I've kind of retconned a little bit, but he's one of my favorite. He and Belladonna Nyx they come from a group of people that closely resemble the Romani people, or
Well, okay, now there are gypsies in the game. They're not Romanis. They're not. We're not trying to get into any of that stuff. I have great respect for the Romani people, and for all that lore. And I know there's a big debate too in that particular issue, where some Romani associate with the name gypsy and are proud of it, and others are like they view it as a bad thing. In our world, gypsies come from I think it's like the Gypsa Woods or something like that. The Gypsia Woods. I forget. It's a place in the Darklands. It was actually an ancient Soluvia before Soluvia became the Darklands. Mm-hmm. They were some of the first human settlers that came up and started settling the area of Soluvia. Okay. And they settled in the woods, and it was a big thing for them to be able to travel too, because they were settlers. They were, moving on, and so they were, kind of mapping out Soluvia as they went, and just kind of like finding their places. And so even after Soluvia became the Darklands, a lot of the gypsies had already traveled northward into the area that's now Eldaron. Yeah. And that's why they have a big encampment up there near the mountains, kind of the western edge of the Northern Sea up there. But again, it's not like, they definitely, they're all about magic and other stuff too. And, gypsies come up a lot in like vampire lore, werewolf lore. It comes up in a lot of fantasy lore. We absolutely didn't want to take away, or we didn't want to, in any way kind of like slight anybody. Right. But we also, we want to still be able to have like the fantasy aspects of the lore because of settings and stuff. So
at any rate,
it's a tightrope walk, but we're taking it very seriously. So we're gonna.
At any rate, the two characters come from these people, and the difference between the main difference between them is I forget what his name is, but the male character, he has been a vampire for a long time, something like I think like 600 or 700 years.
Mm-hmm.
And Belladonna Nix is.
Some of the names can change.
It's nothing set in stone, but Belladonna Nix, and that name's staying because I love that name. Belladonna Nix, she's only just become a vampire probably within the last 20 years. So she's very new to her powers and her abilities and things like that. So she is more cunning. She was more cunning before because she was kind of a cut person. She knew how to use her charm to get the things that she wanted or needed. So it's going to be real interesting to see if we ever get when we get people role playing those characters, when they inevitably start interacting over the game board.
We want to have a lot of atmosphere and a lot of work for them to feel kind of in the character and in the
because I that's one of the things that I've enjoyed about diving into this lore is there are no rules. So I think that's going to come through in some of the backstories for some of these characters, and possibly help the player create their own motivations for why things are going on, and give them a way to create a story in their head as they're making their way through the gate to the dark throne, and at the end of it come away. Every time I play Lord of the Night, I'm exhausted because at the game starts off and you're trying to figure out how you're going to go through the game. I love my games to leave a
person exhausted.
And then once you figure out your strategy of how you want to play the game, and just hoping that your roles play out the way you want, you start developing these kind of rivalries between the different characters. Robbie and I are always going head to head, even though So that's one of my favorite things about Lord of the Night is it's just you have so much. While still having the element of chance, you still have a lot of player utility once you actually start getting your minions placed out on the board, and you start recruiting, and you start building your herd, you start building your followers and things like that, and you just start accruing new skills and new blood, more followers and stuff like that, and you have action going on all over the board, and it's by the time that person makes their final success roll to sit on the dark throne, you're either elated that you have sat on the dark throne, or you're upset because now you're gonna you did all this work and somebody stole it from you. So,
but you still have plenty of chances to get in there too. It's not like
Lord of the Night has the Dan recently taught me about legacy games, but I could see some kind of legacy game forming out of
maybe.
Lord of the Night.
Maybe. There's some other legacy games I have in mind. For instance, one that I've been kind of working on and stuff, where basically you play the weapons. So like whenever you choose your character, you're choosing, like, let's say it's the first time you play, like, oh, you pick this dagger or this sword or this bow, and then through the game, like, you have a character who's wielding you, and so you're going through all these adventures with the character, but basically the important thing is what happens to the weapon. Maybe it gets enchanted with something, maybe it gets carved with runes, or maybe it gets cursed, and so all these things stay, and then the next time you play with that particular weapon, it's basically like someone else picked it up and it's continuing on. It's got all the enchantments and curses and stuff.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So we've forgotten to mention.
I didn't forget to mention. I haven't mentioned it yet, but John was mentioning it here, so I guess I shouldn't.
Let's get out the bag.
There's another game that we've been working on. Well, it's a friend of mine's game, and we've just been kind of like going over it and seeing if there's anything, But we're going to be releasing a buddy of mine, John. We're looking at releasing his dice game called Dice Armada, which is spaceship battles and stuff. Very cool.
It's lots of fun.
It's a dice-based game where you got your ships out and stuff, and they're all in dice form. And we'll tell you a lot more about it soon. We just want to make sure to get it all together, and we want him to be happy and us happy and all that. That's why I haven't brought it up yet.
Oh, okay, that's
but
fine.
I mean, since he's posting right there and that other thing, I'm guessing that's what he means. So, Dice Armada, that's going to be really exciting too.
Yeah.
But We'll have more for you on that soon. But anyway, so yeah, I mean I guess that's probably pretty much what we got for the night, right?
That's what we got for the night. So yeah, I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas. I hope you've had a wonderful Hanukkah. Blessings to you, Yule, happy Yule, all of that,
Yule,
all of the good things for you.
Whatever you may be celebrating, happy Festivus.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
2020 was a very hard year for a lot of people. We're almost done with this part of it. Let's start next year off better than we did this past year, and move forward. And grab a friend, grab a game, sit down and play something with somebody.
Well, maybe grab them. Maybe grab them from 6 feet away. Anyway.
Yeah. So, guys, I hope that you get everything. And we will. We may take next week off, considering depending. But Dan and I'll talk about that here after we're done with the cast.
I guess if we pop up next Tuesday, it'll be a Christmas surprise.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna start doing is I'm gonna set up a weekly thing where it will notify everybody the day before and the day of that. Hey, these guys are going live. They're gonna be talking about board games and stuff. Tune in.
You should have warning if you're gonna have to see this face.
Yeah, this one. So with that, guys, that's it for us tonight, and we will talk to you next time. Don't forget
to you after Christmas.
Talk to you after Christmas. And don't forget that we have a store-wide sale going on. There are a couple other things. You're going to have to go on over to the store, check it out. Send a friend, send a link, and check back with us. If you have any questions, you can message myself or Dan directly. You can message the Tavern Master or the Dan Kriss Games page. We have the Tavern Masters Gaming Guild that I'm working on. I'm working on a plan to get that more active so we can have some tavern journals going on. But guys, we're always open to have a chit chat with anybody that's interested in anything that we have to say.
Oh, yeah.
So with that, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here so I can check out Staves. Yeah. All right, guys, y'all have a wonderful evening.
Have a wonderful night. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.